Alright guys, here we're going to start out with a first gen 6-bolt intake manifold. We're putting it in the parts washer that is mixed with degreaser using Simple Green, and half of it is also water. We're doing so to clean out all the oils and any contaminants that are inside of the intake manifold and the outside, because the next process we'll be going into the oven for the outgassing, which is burning out all the oils. So we're going to soak this in the parts washer here for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then it will be going into the oven for the outgassing process. Here we have our 6-bolt intake manifold that I've pulled out of the parts washer. I've rinsed it off in the sink, and it's going to be going in the oven at 475 degrees to let all the oils and contaminants gas out, and it's also going to open up the pores because the cast aluminum is pretty porous metal and the oil likes to creep inside of it. This will prevent any bubbling from happening. Here we are about 20 minutes into the outgassing process. As you can see, there's quite a bit of smoke rolling out of the oven right now. We're going to open it up to let some of the smoke get out and get outside of the building. Process still has about 40 to 50 minutes left to let all the oils burn out. As you can see, the intake manifold's starting to burn brown. A lot of the oils are coming out of the intake manifold, and you can see some of them sitting right there, and there's other spots around as well. It's going to be about another 40 minutes until she's fully cooked. And here we have the intake manifold out from the oven after outgassing. As you can tell, it's pretty brown. That's due to the oil and other contaminants that were inside the pores of the intake manifold. They were burned out during the outgassing process. Now we're going to be going into the sandblasting process here. It should take about 20 minutes or so to sandblast all this off. We're going to be getting rid of all the residue that's left over from the outgassing. As you can see, we're at the final stage of preparation before the powder is applied. Obviously it's been sandblasted, and it's also been rinsed in acetone. We got plugs in all the holes that have threads, even the vacuum nipples down here. The throttle body port is taped off, same with the EGR port. As you can see now, the intake manifold is ready to be coated. I got the ground here from the control box on the gun, and then the ground over here to the rack from the earth ground outside. Should take about 2-3 minutes to coat it. Pretty simple here. It's just a single stage coating. It's going to be a triple bronze from NIC Industries. Here we are now with the manifold coated. We're going to go ahead and remove all of the plugs and tape that we have on it. We're removing the plugs also because if you leave them in the oven as the powder's flowing out, the powder will stick to the plugs, and then when you go to pull the plugs out, you're going to have powder sticking to them, and it pulls out of the threads, and as the powder is still in its wet stage, it'll flow out onto the piece where you don't want it to be. As you can see now, all the tape and plugs are removed for a clean surface. There's no powder in any of the bolt holes here. Might be a little hard to see in there, but they're all powder free. Now it's going to be going into the oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. It's going to take a little while for this to get up to temperature with such a big piece, but we'll get a little footage after it's getting pulled out there and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. We're getting pretty close to the temperature we need to be at. We're about 290 right now. Probably got about another 5 or 6 minutes before it gets up to 400 degrees. And then from there it's going to sit at the 400 degrees for 10 minutes until the powder is fully cured. Here we are with the intake manifold. I just pulled it out of the oven. It was there at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Now we have it in front of the fan to cool down. As you can see, it's pretty nice bronze color. I'm a big fan of it. I've done a valve cover and fuel rail in it that turned out very nice also. After this, we're going to sand the flange, and we're also going to polish the lettering on the front, the ECI multi right there. Alright, we got the manifold cooled down to room temperature. As you can see, the flange here has some powder, got a little overspray on it. It's pretty typical. It's easier for me to just set it on the rack instead of taping it off and trying to hang it. So now we're going to clean it up on the bench sanders so that the customer has a completely smooth surface when they're going to put the intake manifold back on their motor, and the gasket will seal up properly. Got the flange cleaned up from end to end. As you can see, it's very smooth. There's no powder left on it, and it's flat from end to end. Next, we're going to be taping off and polishing the lettering. We have the lettering here taped off now. We have the tape around it so that in case the orbital sander does slip, which its tendency is, then you won't scuff up any of the powder coat along the edges there, and you're only going to be removing the powder off the lettering. The lettering's all polished off. Now we're going to remove the tape, and then it's going to be going into the sink so that we can clean up all the sand. It's going to be rinsed out with soapy dishwater to get rid of all the extra powder that just got shaved off both of the flanges. We'll get some pictures up after this and show you guys what it looks like when it's all done. Here's our finished product. We got the lettering polished, the flange is smooth, the throttle body and EGR ports are clean of powder, so they're as smooth as they are when they first came in. I got all the sand and extra powder cleaned up. There's no residue left on it. A couple water spots I still got to dry up, but that'll be a few minutes yet. This is how you powder coat an intake manifold. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for other installments.